2-year-old boy told his parents the name of the man he used to be, the name of the aircraft carrier he flew from, the name of his best friend in that previous life, and the exact location where he died. University of Virginia researchers spent years verifying each detail. Every single one checked out. This is not a story about a psychic, not a story about a medium, not a story about belief. This is a documented case study, investigated by PhD researchers, cross-referenced against military records, and published in peer-reviewed academic literature. And the subject of that case study was 2 years old when it began. His name is James Leininger. He was born in 1998 in Louisiana to Bruce and Andrea Leininger, two people who, at the time, did not believe in reincarnation. At the age of 2, James began having nightmares. Violent, specific, recurring nightmares. He would thrash in his bed, screaming the same words every night. Airplane on fire. Little man can't get out. His parents assumed it was an ordinary childhood nightmare, until the morning James woke up and told them exactly who the little man was. Himself, in a previous life, as a World War II fighter pilot. Stay with me, because what researchers found when they started checking his claims is what makes this case impossible to explain away. James was not vague about his past life. He was specific in a way that a 2-year-old in Louisiana in the year 2000 had no way of being. He said his plane was a Corsair.
He said it was shot down over the water near Iwo Jima. He said he flew from a ship called Natoma. And he said his best friend on that ship was named Jack Larsen. But it goes even further. James did not just remember names, he remembered faces. At an air show, when James was 3 years old, he saw a model of a Corsair aircraft. He pointed to a feature on the bottom of the plane. He said, "They used to bounce when they landed." His father looked it up. Corsairs were notorious for their difficult landings, a feature well documented in aviation history that even most adults would not know. His 3-year-old son knew it, because he had landed one. James also had 3 G.I. Joe figures that he carried everywhere. He named all 3 of them Leon, Walter, and Billy. His parents did not understand why, until researchers cross-referenced the names against the USS Natoma Bay casualty records. Leon Connor, Walter Devlin, Billy Peeler, 3 men who died aboard the USS Natoma Bay during World War II, named by a toddler who was born half a century after they died. Dr. Jim Tucker is a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia. He works in the Division of Perceptual Studies, the same institution that investigated the AWARE study. He has spent decades researching children who claim memories of previous lives.
His database contains over 2,500 documented cases from around the world. He investigated the Leininger case personally.
And what he found, after years of cross-referencing James's specific claims against verifiable historical records, is that James Leininger's case is one of the strongest in his entire database.
Not because it is dramatic, but because it is verifiable.
Dr. Tucker published his findings in the Journal of Scientific Exploration. He noted that James's statements about the USS Natoma Bay, James Huston Jr., Jack Larsen, and the 3 crew members who died were all accurate and specific in ways that could not be explained by coincidence, parental coaching, or information the child could have accessed.
Now, I want to address the most obvious counter-argument directly. Could the Leininger parents have coached their son? Bruce Leininger was a skeptic before this began. He actively tried to disprove his son's claims. He spent months researching specifically to find the inconsistencies that would explain it away. He found none. He found only confirmation. Case after case, detail after detail, name after name. Could James have overheard something? Seen something on television? The Corsair, the USS Natoma Bay, Jack Larsen, James Huston Jr. These are not household names. These are not topics that appear in children's television or casual conversation. A 2-year-old in Louisiana in the year 2000 had no pathway to this information. Dr. Tucker is careful in his language, as all serious researchers are. He does not claim this proves reincarnation. He says the most economical explanation for the strongest cases in his database is that some aspect of consciousness survives the death of the body and transfers to another. That is a PhD researcher at the University of Virginia saying that, in print.
James Leininger is now in his mid-20s. His memories of his previous life began to fade around the age of 8, which is consistent with virtually every other case in Dr. Tucker's database. Children remember. Adults forget, as if the connection gradually closes as the new life takes hold. James Huston Jr.'s sister, Anne Barron, was still alive when the Leiningers found her. She was in her 80s. She met James Leininger when he was 7 years old. She looked at him. She said, "I don't know how to explain this, but I know who he is." She gave James a model of a Corsair aircraft, and she said, "Welcome back. Now, here is what I want you to sit with. We have now covered 4 cases in this series. Pam Reynolds, whose perceptions during surgery with 0 brain activity were verified by the surgical team. Patient 57, whose cardiac arrest experience was verified by the resuscitation team. Eben Alexander, the Harvard neurosurgeon who returned from a coma with information he could not have had. And James Leininger, a child who arrived in this world already carrying verified memories of a previous one. 4 different ages, 4 different circumstances, 4 completely different types of evidence. And they all point in the same direction. Not toward a specific religion, not toward a specific belief system, toward a question that the most rigorous researchers in consciousness science are now taking seriously. What if identity, the specific thing that makes you, does not begin at birth and end at death? What if it is something older than your body and longer than your life? I do not know the answer. Dr. Tucker does not know. No one knows with certainty. But the evidence, the verified, peer-reviewed, cross-referenced evidence, is no longer small enough to dismiss. Subscribe, because next week we go to the case that broke open an entire field of research. A woman who died on an operating table and returned describing a verified conversation that happened 3 rooms away, while her brain showed 0 activity. Her case was the first to introduce the concept of terminal lucidity into peer-reviewed medicine, and the implications have never been fully resolved. That case is next. You already know something most people spend their whole lives avoiding. That is not nothing. That is the beginning.